the first ever episode of the BK Fishing channel. Name subject to change. I'm not completely sold on it, so if you have any suggestions, ideas, or what you think an appropriate name for my fishing channel should be, shoot me a comment, send me a message, but I will definitely take it into consideration. Might keep the name, who knows, we're gonna ride with it for now. But the reason I'm starting this channel is to share my passion, knowledge for the sport of fishing. Obviously, I don't know it all. I'm still learning every time I go out on the water. Every time that I get the opportunity to fish, I learn something new. And every time I throw a new bait or tie a new bait on, I learn something new. So it's something that I get to share with you guys, the learning process of becoming a better fisherman and what I already know, the different tips and techniques that I can share that I may do differently than you do, or somebody you know, or whoever you've seen or have taught you what you know about fishing. So that's the beautiful thing about fishing, is everyone does it a little bit differently. Everybody has their methods and their beliefs about watercolor, lure color, line, pole length, I mean, you name it. Everyone has their preferences and their beliefs in the sport of fishing, and that's what makes it unique, and that's what makes every fisherman a little bit different, especially the ones that really spend time on it. So I plan to do that. I plan to spend more time on fishing, and I really want to make it something that I can develop into possibly a career, whether that's sport fishing in competition or just your everyday fisherman that can make a living off of it. So that's the goal with this channel, is to just spread my fishing passion, hopefully inspire others to learn fishing and grow in what they want to become as a fisherman. So getting into things, I will be mainly showing bass fishing, walleye fishing on this channel. I will mix in some panfish like crappie, bluegill, perch, white bass. I'll mix in some wipers and some other game fish like northern pike, muskie, just your traditional Midwestern fish. So all those species will be included in a lot of the videos that I do, but primary focus will be on largemouth bass, maybe some smallmouth bass, and just bass in general, and walleye. Those are the two fish that I really go after with the majority of my time when I'm out on the water. So in Nebraska, where I'm at right now, it's obviously snowy, icy, lakes are covered, and I don't do a ton of ice fishing. I have everything to ice fish. I plan to go this weekend, actually, so you may get some ice fishing content here and there, but it's not going to be something that I'm going to be pushing out a whole lot. I'm going to be focusing on the open water stuff, and I want to give that sort of content, and I will do that on YouTube, of course, TikTok, and Instagram. Instagram will have a lot of cool pictures and videos as we go along. I know a buddy of mine and I are going to plan up and put together a lot of different content throughout the spring and summer, and so I'm really excited about that. Can't wait to share that with you guys. But I just want to, for episode 1, go through kind of my Bass Pro Shops, Cabelas fishing tackle haul that I did last weekend. So I'm getting ready for the open water season. Yes, I know it's February, but one can dream and one can prepare as early as they want for that, and I will do so. So just want to go over that, kind of share my thoughts, what my thinking process was when I went to Bass Pro and Cabelas. I try to go to the tackle store with ideas and tackle in mind, say a list of things that I want to get or make a primary focus, because I know when I go to a tackle store and I don't have anything prepared, or I don't have an idea of what I want to get, I leave there with a bunch of stuff that I really didn't need, but it caught my eye, so I got it anyways. It's kind of like going to the grocery store when you're hungry. You find a bunch of food that you didn't really need, but you were hungry, so you bought it anyways. Then you get home and you're like, all right, I got all this food now, all this junk food, if you will. So you don't want to go to the tackle store with nothing in mind, because then you buy stuff that sits in your boat, in your tackle box, that you don't really use, but you thought maybe you could use it. So carrying on from that, I will start with product number 1 that I went after when I went to the tackle store, and that was hard baits. I wanted to get a lot more hard baits. I lost quite a few last year, and I just needed to add on to what I had, and one of those was the square bill crankbait. So I got a bunch of square bill crankbaits, wanted to get 8 to 10 or so, all different colors. I'm a big fan of the natural colors in Nebraska. Obviously, we have dirtier water, so natural colors aren't obviously the greatest. They say, if you don't know, that natural colors are better for that clearer water, whereas the more exotic, bright colors are better for the dirtier water. But I like the natural colors, especially because we have a lot of crappie. We have a lot of shad in this area. So those natural colors work, especially earlier in the year when that water is a little bit more clear, later in the year as well. But I do a lot of fishing in other states as well. So I'm a big fan of the natural colors. Here's another one that I got. But trust me, I know better to not just rely on the natural colors. You got to get some of those bright colors, and the bluegill colored baits are one of my favorite as well. I like those in the early summer, kind of spring, summertime. But the square bill crankbait in general is one that I've gotten better at. Really wanted to make a focus because it is a really productive bait for me, and I've really learned how to use it in different situations and scenarios, which I'll go over down the road. Don't want to go over too much right now, but just wanted to share kind of what I thought. Got a couple different sizes, so you can see one's going to dive a little bit deeper than the other. And I think you need to have a variety, because if you're fishing in 3 foot of water, you don't need something that dives 6 foot. You need something that's going to dive 3 or 4 feet. And I think there's a necessary lure for each situation. So yeah, that's kind of what I had in mind with the square bills. Just a bait that I'm really excited to use. Got a bunch of different colors. Another one, switching over to the walleye and that side of things. I got the VMC bucktail jig. So these are a little bit different presentation than I've tried in the past. A buddy of mine actually put me onto these, and I love the detail. As you can see, the little red piece of thread there in the VMC bucktail jigs. Essentially just a doll fly, little heavier. I'm going to be pitching this for walleye. That was the reason, and that's the presentation that I got these for, was to pitch them into cover, into weed lines for walleye. It's something that a friend of mine told me about. They have a lot of success doing it, and I want to give it a shot. And it sounds like really fun fishing, especially in the early morning, to kind of get your day started pitching real active. So can't wait to do that. Those are 2 baits that I know I'm going to be throwing a lot, experimenting with, and hopefully learning a lot there. So moving on to things, had to pick up some more walleye baits, sticking on that side of thing. Got some Walleye Nation Creation deep divers. These are going to dive about 20-25 feet. Maybe more, depending on what type of line you're using, that sort of thing. But I'm really excited to use those. I needed those last year in the fall. Didn't have a bait that could quite get me deep enough. We were fishing this rock pile in about 25-30 foot of water, but the walleye were anywhere from 15 to 24. And I mean, we were picking them off left and right, but they were small. I think we needed a little bit bigger bait to get to them deeper. Yeah, we could have thrown together the right rod, reel, line combo, but we weren't properly rigged up and that sort of thing. And a little bit deeper diver would have got us there. So staying on that front, I had to pick up what I think is the greatest bait of all time, and that is the Berkeley Flicker Shad. The Berkeley Flicker Shad is the greatest bait of all time in my eyes, because you can literally catch everything on this. I've seen a master angler walleye, I've seen a master angler bass, I've seen a master angler crappie, I've seen a master angler wiper. I mean, you name it, the list goes on. It's a bait that you wouldn't use in like a bass tournament. You're not going to use it to go target bass with all that often, maybe in like a farm pond or something, but it's a bait that simply delivers. I use them for walleye, use them for crappie very often. It's a bait that I will never get rid of. It's another just a very versatile bait. You can cast it, you control it. I mean, you can work it like a jerk bait. It's just an awesome bait. I love the action on it. You can get all different types of sizes, as you can see, but I got a variety of colors. I love the green and white. I love the purple, white, yellow. The alewife color works great in western Nebraska. And then you can't go wrong with the fire tiger. Anytime you get the fire tigers, I mean, that's just a staple in fishing. So excited to get on those. Those are kind of just a re-up to my supply. Always got to have those on deck when I'm doing trolling for walleye in the spring, summertime, and especially late summer, fall. So very versatile bait. You can use them all year long. one of my favorites. And then I also had to re-up on spinnerbaits. Got quite a few spinnerbaits, all different sizes, but went with the Colorado blade. Had a lot of success using the Colorado bladed spinnerbaits over the willow blade. I love in Nebraska the Colorado blades because they make a little bit more vibration in the water. They disturb things a little bit more. And I think in the dirtier water, that's what you got to go with. In the spring, early spring, and fall, you can use that willow blade, get away with it a little bit more, but I like the Colorado blade. You can work it slower, and it really just causes that big vibration in the water. Really gets those basses' attention. So, I mean, I'll use them both, but the Colorado blade is simply my favorite. I don't throw a lot of spinnerbaits. I'll actually throw spinnerbaits for walleye out west. So, I mean, the spinnerbait is just something that I think every fisherman needs to have because they do work, they do produce results, but just not my favorite thing to throw. I would throw other presentations before that, but like I said, gotta have them on deck. Moving on to the tried and true, you have to re-up every time you go. You get some jigs, right? I got the tried and true black and blue, green pumpkin and blue. Those are the staples for me. I love the black and blue. I think every bass fisherman would agree, but these are football jigs, and football jigs are my favorite type of jig to kind of pitch, throw around, because I love working different contour with it. I love working flats, and I just feel a really good feel when I'm throwing a football jig compared to, say, a swim jig or a finesse jig. But hey, to each his own. I just really like the football jigs. I use them all, but that's what I got a bigger supply of here. So looking forward to using those. And then a couple other things that I picked up while I was there. Got some Strike King 5XDs. Obviously, gotta have the deep divers, especially if you're going to be fishing in bass tournaments. Those offshore bass are going to win your tournaments. Those bigger bass can be caught on those crankbaits in that 10, 12, 13, 15 foot of water. You find a rock pile, you find some sort of brush. You throw the crankbaits, bounce it off there, really cause that disruption in the water, and you're gonna usually get a pretty nice fish. So looking forward to expanding my crankbait knowledge, something I really got better at last year. I remember one tournament, if I didn't have the deep diving crankbaits and I didn't know how to properly use them with my graph, I wouldn't have even came close to finishing in the top 3, but saved the day with the crankbait on a rock pile in about 15 foot of water, just dragging it, bumping it off those, pausing it as it hit those rocks, and that's when the strike happens. So that's a fun way to fish too. When they hit it, it's a blast. So love throwing crankbaits. Had to re-up on those. And then lastly, a couple other things. Got these speed shads. As you can see, the paddle tail soft plastics. I love throwing these on my chatterbaits, and when I can get them at a discounted rate as I can with some of the Bass Pro Cabelas stuff, I have to pick up the soft plastics that I really love. I have way too many soft plastics, as I think a lot of fishermen do, but had to pick those up. And then I also got some death rigs, spinner rigs for walleye. If you can see, I'm a big fan and proponent of orange for walleye fishing and drifting, that sort of thing. So I had to pick up some of those. Got some green ones, some chartreuse green. Those are just some of my favorite colors, especially here in Nebraska. But yeah, that was my haul. I got a bag full of stuff sitting on the floor. That was just most of it, kind of the gist of what I got. What I was thinking was I needed some hard baits. I needed for multiple species. And I knew that I'm going to be going back to the store probably 3 or 4 times, because that's what fishermen do before I hit the open water. So got a handful of things that I feel like I really needed. I'm going to switch over to my new tackle box and reassess what I need going into April, May. I know I've got some big trips planned and some tournaments planned as well. So looking forward to that. But as I said in the beginning, with this channel, you'll be seeing a lot of fishing vids coming up. A lot of pictures on the Instagram. And it may start this weekend with an ice trip up north a little bit. So hope to provide some content that way with some fish catching. But like I said, ice, not my thing all that much. But what you can plan on is really good fishing videos, really good content. and some exciting days on the water ahead. So if you would, please give me a like, a comment, subscribe, whatever you feel is necessary, but I appreciate any and all of the above. And thank you for watching episode 1. We will see you live in action for episode 2.